Hey guys, in our previous video, we saw how to pass an input from Power App and to get that in Power Automate, and we passed that to an API, and we even sent back the response from Power Automate to Power App, and we also saw how to capture that response and how to display it in the Power Apps. Today, we will see how to store this response into a table in Dataverse. Okay, so let's get started. So we'll start by creating a table. So let me go ahead and create a table. So the idea is to store both my input and the output, the prompt which I am going to pass from Power App, and also the response which we get back from Power Automate. Okay, so let me call this table as my output table, and I'm going to create two new columns. Okay, so one is my prompt, which is nothing but the input which we are going to pass from Power Apps. I'm also going to add another column which is the response we get back from Power Automate. So we have a table with two columns and we have given a name to the table. Let me save and exit. Now let's go back to the Power App. Let me add the data. Let's say add data, look for output. Okay, so this is the table. We will also create a table over here to visualize the data. So let me create a table, output table. So we will show only two columns over here, the prompt and the response. So as you could see, this table is coming from this outputs table. I'll pick and choose the fields over here. So I'll delete the unwanted fields. We can have the created on field for our reference. Okay. So basically we have four columns over here. Okay. Let me save this. So now we also have to send these response back to Power Apps, right? So earlier we were sending only the response, the body candidates. Now we also need the prompt. So what I will do is I will send this information as well, which is nothing but the input. So which we get from here, right? So basically whatever we get from Power Apps, I'm just returning it back to again Power Apps. Okay, so that is prompt, and the this is the response we get from our custom connector from the Gemini API. Okay, so let me um, publish this. So I'll go back to Power Apps. I'll go to Power Automate. Let me refresh this. Now what we do is we have to we are going to use a function called patch to populate this table. Okay, so I'm going to say patch, and this is my table name output, comma, and we are also going to pass the default as my table, same table again, followed by the column mapping in curly braces. So we have two columns here, prompt and response. So the first column is prompt. I'm going to map that to my output dot so from output we get these two, right? Prompt and response back from Power Automate. So I'm going to map this prompt against this column, comma, my next field, which is response. So for response, I'm going to get output dot response. But we know output dot response is actually the entire JSON output we get from API. So all we need is this portion, right? So I'll just copy this piece of information which we did in our previous video. So I'm going to go back to the button. So I'll say this. Okay. So whatever content we get over here, that will be assigned to this column, response column. Okay. So now let me close this. Okay. So we are all done. So we call this flow in Power Automate. We pass this input prompt, whatever we are going to define here, and we are going to get that as an output. And from that output, we are going to fetch the prompt portion, which is nothing but this, and that will be mapped to this column, prompt column, and the parsed output, which we have passed right from the output dot response, and that portion, the text portion, will be mapped to this column, the response column over here. So let me save this. Let's have a look. Now let me call this API. So ideally we should see the prompt. Yeah. Okay, so we could see the prompt and the response and also the created date. So let me ask one more question, explain Dataverse. Okay. Okay, so you could see the prompt and the response captured over here. So let me go back to the tables. Let me search for that output table. Let's see how it looks within the Dataverse. So okay, so we could see those two records over here, the prompts and the corresponding response. So hope we got some basic understanding of how to create records in a Dataverse table and utilizing the batch function. Please do let me know in the comment section for any clarification. Thanks for watching.